Hey everybody, welcome back to the Playing with Power podcast, the issue-by-issue retrospective about Nintendo Power Magazine. You've tuned in for issue, I don't see the number, 65, thank you, from October of 1994. The cover has Illusion of Gaia on it. I am your host, Ben, and with me as always is my co-host, Mike.
Hello.
And John.
Yo.
And we have a special guest with us. We have Kyle Clark with us. Welcome, Kyle.
Well, howdy. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Swinging. All right. So
I just like that it was like this setup of like, look, man, we got a pretty professional setup, and then like stumbled on each part of the intro. So I was like, well done, sir. Well done.
You're welcome.
Ben's like smooth lack of preparation.
Sorry.
I was literally taken aback, like, oh shit, these guys are like pros. Like, I gotta get my shit together.
You make a lot of assumptions.
Fooled them, guys.
You make a lot of
We
assumptions
fooled them.
just because we've been around for a year.
It's more just we've done 65 of these stupid things.
Yeah,
I
kind of had to
did
jog the old memory from what I did 2 weeks ago. In my defense, I wasn't on last week, so I've had a week break. I've been on vacation. You know, it's been a little dusty up there. Had to knock out the cobwebs. But yeah,
they say that's how long it takes for the skills to atrophy.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
I did warn you to listen to an episode or two to make sure you know what you're getting into.
I had someone hack my Skype account like right before this aired, so I was like dealing with that. Like, oh my goodness.
And you had to chase your kids around Disneyland, like
SeaWorld.
Week, so. Oh, is it SeaWorld?
Oh, Jesus.
Same thing.
Is that still open? I thought like the animal rights people would have shut that down already. Or are they still trying?
No, they didn't shut it down. They changed SeaWorld changed the orca shows. They don't do the traditional show anymore where they're like standing on the nose of the thing while it's riding around, you know. They're trying to focus more on like conservation. So the show changed.
Yeah.
So
they also replaced all the sea lions with dogs with fins taped to their backs.
They basically
They found it was easier and cheaper.
Have you seen them? They're like dogs.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Don't even get us started on the dolphins. I mean, those bastards get what they get. Everything
they're the Bill Cosby of the sea. They've earned every. But you know, have you ever driven to Tucson, Ben?
Yes, unfortunately.
So you know, when you get near Picacho, there's that Rooster Cogburns petting zoo off the side of the road.
No.
oh my God.
Okay.
They named a petting zoo after True Grit.
Yeah. So
Does he say like
need,
feel
like-
like do they have a sign
No,
by the
just shut
hayseed
up.
saying "Fill your hands, you son of a bitch"?
just shut up. All right. Anyway. But you know, you feed like donkeys and goats and prairie dogs and stuff. But they added where you could feed these like stingrays.
Oh yeah.
And I was like totally gonna like punch one for Steve Irwin.
Get it with a bob.
Throw a Steve on the bobby, eh?
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, poor Bindi. Wait, didn't she win like Dancing with the Stars or something?
Shit, is she that old now?
Well, she was like
Yeah, she was
20 now. Or?
Yeah. Yeah, Bindi like won Dancing with the Stars. I'm pretty sure.
Crikey.
Crikey.
Is Bindi his daughter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That, like the little one from the old
Bindi
show.
Irwin. She had her own. I know she had her own
does-
kids show.
Having your like famous dad be murdered by nature makes you a star?
Well, it worked for Paris Hilton.
Yes.
She was already on the show while he was
And
still
I don't
alive.
think nature killed her father.
It's
Like,
it's
The
a better
I feel
stingray.
like I remembered if like goats stomped the Hilton hotel chain guy to death.
yeah, it's like it's a better reason for fame than the Kardashians. So
I mean, fair. No one's arguing that. It's the term star, not famous.
Star.
oh well, yeah.
If it were Dancing with Famous People, that show would make a lot more sense.
Well,
Yeah,
tune
like,
in next
Stars.
week where we do the tango with the Catch Me Outside girl.
I mean, that will happen.
Bindi Irwin is more of a star than half the people in that show.
That is true.
Yeah, that girl works for her fame.
Yeah.
Dancing with D-list celebrities just doesn't have the same ring to it.
Dancing with
Yeah.
the D-list.
Dancing with the Extra from that one episode of NCIS.
Well, wait, so does the Crocodile Hunter lady like have a show?
She did.
I know she had one for kids when she was little. I don't know about now.
Oh, okay. See, I assumed she went into hiding. Like, I didn't realize she had stayed prominent. I was under the impression that like nature was like, we're coming for you next, and her name was now like Carla Rodriguez or something.
She spent 10 years training in secret for her one chance to return for revenge.
She, like,
oh yeah, no, she
heads out
definitely
to sea in the blood moon to punch the rays.
Oh, most definitely. She definitely like walks like the shores of the ocean with a shotgun, just like cursing drunkenly at the ocean.
She's got a katana. Her movies kill Ray.
No, she didn't go the path of Jake Lloyd.
I would have loved to see the staff of like that show the week after that happened. Like, all right, who had Stingray in the death pool? Like, because that guy cleaned up.
By the way, back up. What did Jake Lloyd do?
Jake Lloyd. He was the kid that played young Anakin.
I'm very familiar with young wizard's Anakin Skywalker. But you implied it like he took to a bell tower and gunned people down. What happened to him? Is he
basically
okay?
the kid went off the deep end. He went to jail for some shit.
Wait, what kind of jail for some? We've all been to jail for some shit. Like, what kind of shit?
No, now you gotta make me look it up here.
You can't say like, hey man, have you ever driven to Tucson and then pretend like you don't have a record?
He starts fist fights outside of conventions where people are dressed up as him.
Okay, see that's.
Oh, here we go. June 17th, Lloyd was arrested for reckless driving without a license, and resisting arrest.
I should be allowed to do that. That's not on him. That's on them.
She had a show called Bindi the Jungle Girl, and Bindi's Boot Camp followed in 2012.
She's got music careers.
Yeah.
She's got music albums.
I'm gonna be honest. Bindi the Jungle Girl sounds like a pornography. Or at least a blaxploitation film.
I feel like we've also learned a lot about your pornography taste.
Ben's more Men in Black Men, by the way. So,
What?
And we got to the racist point.
There it is.
We hit it 9 minutes in, and someone is listening that's going like, I keep checking my phone. It says it's a Nintendo podcast.
I know.
They've not even said the word Nintendo.
No, I said the beginning. I said the top.
Okay, all
fair,
right.
Very fair. Well done.
At some point, we will get to the magazine.
It's an eventual Nintendo podcast.
So, Kyle, where do people know you from?
My name's Kyle Clark. I'm a stand-up comedian. I have an album called I'm a Person that is on Spotify and iTunes and Tidal and Amazon and Apple Music and all those places. I have a podcast called This Is Rad, where we talk about stuff we think is rad. I have in the past been the guest co-host for the Nerdist podcast, and also the annoying laugh guy on the Nerdist podcast. And in general, I'm a guy who gets around. I tour around. I might pop up in your town, and you hear about it a week later and go, "Oh, I wish he was better at advertising." And I'll be like, "Hey, man, sorry, I just wasn't thinking about it."
I'll tell you who gets around. Mike's mom gets around.
It started with John, and now it's Ben.
Sorry, I couldn't help it.
It's fun because I just have like your guys' Skype pictures, but then like John also doesn't have one, so it just looks like the smiley face is picking on the uncomfortable looking face.
Wait a second, I look uncomfortable.
And then occasionally J.I. just sort of like laughs, but it's just like the glowing circle, so he's just like a sentient computer. Am I showing too far behind the curtain?
Sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't cut that out.
Oh my goodness! All right.
So what? Hold on. You said annoying laugh at some point, or annoying laugh? Can you do that on command?
No, it's just my actual laugh.
Oh, okay.
It's I'd be a real sociopath if all that time on Nerdist I was doing like a fake laugh for to get people to go like, well, if they think my laugh's annoying, that's my ticket to fame.
I'm gonna be that good like Seth Rogen.
Two questions. One, if you're on Tidal, do you have an in with like Jay-Z?
As it turns out, yes.
Awesome. And two, what's Chris Hardwick really like?
I mean, I feel like obviously my ties to Tidal, clearly have to come from somewhere, and we all know, that Beyonce and Chris Hardwick have red phones like Russia and America used to have, and they decide where pop culture is going to go.
So you're contractually obligated to say he's a great guy. In other words,
yeah. He still signs my checks.
Very good.
I'm
good to hear.
You do voice.
It changed from Nerdist to AMC, but at the same time, I still know where my butter is breaded.
He really does seem like a really good guy.
Butter is breaded. I think doesn't make sense. But now I'm thinking about like just rolling a stick of butter in panko, and that seems like a cool idea.
Now we're learning about your pornography choices.
It's true, and then a lady sits on it.
Have you guys ever seen cake farts?
It's not butter farts.
Have I seen cake farts, friend?
He did the Foley work for cake farts.
You never work a day in your life when you have a job you love.
At least it wasn't key grip. That's all I'm gonna say.
I bet that was a fun set. I feel like you have a lot of laughs when you're working on the cake fart set.
What do you think the smell was like in that room?
You have a lot of great. You have a lot of great cake. I mean, there's that. So.
Yeah, and I imagine most of the windows are open. They've got fans. Like, they're not. I don't imagine they're locking the crew in like a farty room. I don't think that's part of the fantasy.
Yeah, it's not Korea where they're like all afraid of the fans.
Yeah, and that's not even for porn. That's just for factory.
Yeah,
work.
have you never heard of fan death?
What is
Koreans have an irrational fear of like fans coming off in the middle of the night and killing them. So like all the fans in Korea have like a shut-off switch. It kicks in after like 2 hours, so it won't kill you while you're asleep.
No. See, Korea, you have to understand this. The fans are properly fastened. It's your leader that has a screw loose.
That is good satire.
Oh, goodness. All right. Should we get to the issue at hand?
What do we have? Yeah, what do we have?
Okay, let's talk about games at some point.
Yeah. All right, Nintendo Power. Here we go. Yeah. Illusion of Gaia, intrigue, fantasy, and a doomsday comet.
Yep.
And
there we go.
Yeah, we've got a dude that kind of looks like Conan the Barbarian with a black mullet.
He's got kind of a ghouls and ghosts kind of feel too.
Yeah.
And he's got like a
little bit
clock shadow,
like a Maximo kind of feel.
Yeah, just a bit of like Kit Harington and Russell Crowe had a baby.
Mm-hmm. More like
I feel like without seeing his face, like he could be a butter warrior.
No. This is definitely John Hamm. All the way.
Oh, that is good call. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So he's facing away from us. We can't see his face, unfortunately. And then they talk about Super Punch Out, 8-page knockout.
Right.
Yep.
And he's
what's
facing
going on? There's like, he's got a pyramid behind, like in the background.
I have to give this credit because I have talked to Mike about this, but that I have a real complicated relationship with Nintendo Power. So this was interesting going through it.
How so?
Tell us about your past.
Because I had I think at my height 5 video game magazine subscriptions coming in once a month. I was GamePro, EGM, PlayStation magazine. I'm trying to think what the other two were. GamePro was definitely in there, and then something else. But I remember my brother briefly got Nintendo Power, and I was always a little dubious of Nintendo Power because it always felt like it was on the take. And that's why this issue is very interesting, because I feel like maybe in the N64 days and beyond, they got a little more corrupt as a magazine, because this still feels pretty viable. I've got some real big thoughts in here.
It with a lot of ads.
I remember the moment that I knew that I would never pick up another issue of this trash rag was when they gave Resident Evil 2 for the N64 like a 6 out of 10, saying that it was probably too violent and you should tell your parents that you shouldn't play it. And think like, this is a magazine for shitty kids, and who only play Nintendo branded things, because there's no world where I find Banjo-Kazooie a more exciting game than a game where I'm blowing zombies' heads off with a shotgun.
Well, we have an interview in the past that we may or may not be able to publish that we can't really discuss too much, but we did talk with someone that was on the higher end of this.
And what you're getting at is that I'm completely right.
Well, no, actually, Nintendo didn't dictate much on like what had to be scored and things like that.
Interesting. But it definitely always felt like you could play this third-party game, but why would you when there's so many fine Nintendo products to buy?
like Paper Mario.
Well, that is kind of true. Like, it's always been true with Nintendo that the first-party stuff really did shine more than anything.
Which is why this cover's fascinating with like Illusions of Gaia. The fact that they've got like an Enix game on the cover, you're like, oh my god, this is a Nintendo that's like much more comfortable with itself.
Yeah, this was during its
not just that, they were selling Illusion of Gaia swag too in the Power Supplies catalog.
Oh, that's impressive.
They didn't have a Nintendo game every month.
Yeah,
so
they didn't have
they had to fill it in.
They were allowed to think for themselves, at least during the Prime era.
So I guess we usually ask guests, Kyle, like, did you you grew up with a Nintendo and a Super
I actually
Nintendo
not. My
and-
first system I owned was the Nintendo 64. My folks were not super like into the kids with video games thing, so I would have to sneak away. My grandparents had a Nintendo, and then everybody else that I knew had a Genesis. So the Super Nintendo has actually pretty consistently been kind of a blind spot for me. Like when I got into emulators and stuff, I played some of the essentials and kind of worked through stuff and developed an appreciation for it. But it's probably a system that I enjoy, and like when I saw the mini classic one coming out, I was like, oh, cool, I'm way down for this. But like my girlfriend had a Super Nintendo, and really the more we talked about it, the more I'm like, oh man, I truly missed a lot of that era.
Yeah, I mean the art style still stands up on a lot of these.
Yeah, I still
16-bit.
think that 16-bit stuff truly is probably some of the most timeless gameplay because it's a little more together than the 8-bit stuff. It always drives me a little crazy because I feel like people say they love 8-bit stuff and what they actually mean is they love 16-bit stuff.
Right.
But 8-bit is what the T-shirt said.
They love the what is it, the Zelda and the Chrono Trigger and all that. I mean, those games.
and there's a lot of games that like Chrono Trigger I adore, but like for me it's a DS game in my head because that's where I played it.
Well, it worked.
All right, so that covers the cover.
Okay.
15 minutes in.
Let's
Oh,
move
don't
on
worry,
to the
I could
inside.
do another hour on page 2 and 3.
Okay, let's move on to the poor man, working man's Fred Durst on the inside cover here. Fred, his lesser known brother, Fred Durst.
To me, it looks like he's going like you like this? Yeah, this is what plays bass in the Deftones.
So we have a gentleman here wearing a flannel long sleeve shirt with a black ball cap on, sitting backwards in a wicker chair.
So cool.
With a tongue stud in and a chin
I think it's
stud
just a tongue
in.
stud that's
No, that's the
it's
bottom
a-
ball of the tongue stud.
Oh, okay.
It's like horseshoes.
We
like,
settled
thing.
this debate last issue when we first got to meet him, and there's been a change. I noticed before in the last issue, there was an Animaniacs logo on the cap.
On his hat?
Yeah,
on his.
They pulled it off.
they
Nice.
crushed it when they realized they're double branding.
They shopped it out somehow. Yeah.
I love it because he, with that Animaniacs logo, he was just showing the future of what kids real into Animaniacs would look like by the early 2000s.
By the time the show comes back, this is what all their fans are going to look like.
But the whole ad for the Nintendo Power Super Power Club is fascinating because the fact that they're comparing it to getting a body piercing, and how parents would be way more stoked for them to be part of a video game tip club instead of getting a tongue piercing seems like a very false dichotomy if we're talking in public speaking terms.
It's like tell your parents you need to try heroin or video
Exactly.
games, see which they pick.
Yeah, it says jamming a needle through your so good, and it's definitely nowhere near as fun as punching holes in the
My
competition.
parents go chase the dragon.
And sure, but maybe you're way more maybe you're not super competitive, but you also have trouble feeling feelings. So maybe pain is the only thing you know, but you don't enjoy defeating others. So I mean, this ad makes a lot of
It's the only
presumptions.
way you can reach catharsis.
Exactly.
I don't know why it's mutually exclusive. You can't do both.
Yeah, it's 100%. I like that. But I think that again falls into my little conspiracy theories about Nintendo powers that they don't want those kinds reading their magazines.
No, I hear you. I mean, I think at a certain point, I checked out at Nintendo Power, around 96, 97, just because of the same kind of thing. It's well, you guys aren't covering every single game for one, and two, it's all this bullshit in here about games that aren't very good.
Yeah,
you're gonna
come
push.
on, Twist needed that big
what was
push.
it? Episode 1 Pod Racer is a cover game. Oh, it's the best game ever.
That game was pretty tight.
That game actually was kind of fun.
I will say,
Of course, the best part of this ad is that Canadian residents have to pay $25 while the rest of us pay 18.
I guess for me, the thing was Nintendo didn't grow up with me. They kind of stayed for kids.
Yeah.
Whereas you think around the time GTA 3 had just come out, and I'm well, I'm playing that now, and not Nintendo.
And was it
Hero Sony.
Yeah, exactly.
this ad does remind me of a thing because I think we're all about the same age here. Were you guys big comic book readers in the mid 90s?
No, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, do you remember the Lee's jeans ad, or I think it was Levi's jeans ad, where it was match the guitar to the person and then match the pizza to the person, and it was super skinny jeans, regular jeans, and then fucking huge, saggy, fake Jenko style jeans.
Jenko, right.
And it was like a double guitar, like a V-neck guitar, and like a Stratocaster or something like that. And then it was like a disgusting deep dish Chicago pizza, a like normal pizza, and then like a school pizza. And I just remember thinking, like, man, I feel like they really want me to think the guy in giant jeans with a shitty guitar and gross pizza is the cool guy to be.
Yeah.
I feel like they're really missing the mark on this.
See, if they did that game with me, all the pizza would go to me. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's something to me that's really nice about like Gen X based advertising, because like corporate America didn't quite get it yet, but they were starting to, so it lifts you a little higher before falling off and failing.
Those 90s ads are just be like, this is where obviously the kids that were that took marketing in the 80s didn't realize how far off the mark they were. Like an entire generation does make a difference.
We didn't hit the sweet spot of like the Surge advertising where they're like, Surge soda splans in your face. Like,
Did you guys read the Console Wars, the book?
It's on my list.
It's fantastic. I cannot recommend it enough. Like if you're the kind of guys who would start a Nintendo Power podcast, it's the way they explore like the marketing and the way that like marketing and like the way imagery for video game advertising changed from like the mid 80s to the mid 90s is so interesting, because you're watching the stuff that like made up our visions of like what was cool and what wasn't cool, and like just seeing the people behind that pulling the curtains and playing with it is really a fascinating thing that I don't think you often get to see with like that kind of granular detail.
I'm gonna add it to my Amazon list.
Yeah, I haven't read the book yet, but I did watch like a 40-minute. The author was giving like a show and tell kind of at a convention.
Oh, nice.
So
I highly recommend the book on tape, by the way, is probably the way to do it, because it's a businessy ass business book at points. But then there's a couple parts where you just go like, oh shit, like they because like they cover in this, Donkey Kong Country comes in, and when they show it to the head of Nintendo, he's like, are all the N64 games gonna look this good? And they're like, man, that's a Super Nintendo game, and you're just like, oh fuck, like
The N64,
Super Nintendo's pulling it out.
64 is going to look great. Why does everything look like it's made with Doritos? Oh man,
because they're delicious, and that's just good engineering.
N64 and the PlayStation 1 was like the awkward puberty of game consoles.
You guys both missed out because last issue they had a whole like technical thing about like the advancement of like what the development of Donkey Kong Country was. It was really really interesting.
Oh, and speaking of being on the take, Kyle, you missed a couple of well, if you listen, just if you're bored.
It's rare that I get shamed this quickly into a podcast I'm on for not listening to the back catalog.
It's only 64 issues.
That's something I've got
to.
That's something I've got to start doing more. Is like, oh well, if you had listened, we had done a fun thing.
that's just Mike about everything. He'll shame me for everything, and for John too.
It's my milieu.
It's just the thing. Yeah.
Anyway,
so speaking of Donkey Kong Country, the next page.
Oh my gosh, I was making a point. There was a point after the shaming.
Oh,
like the top of your head.
Anyway,
it usually isn't. So
we were a few issues earlier. They were discussing how great the N64 is going to be, and they were talking about when they were first going with the Sony with the Nintendo PlayStation. They were talking about how great you can make with CDs and like all the video you can store on it and stuff like that. And then without like saying that they screwed Sony, basically began creating their worst enemy. They were talking about how the N64, they went in a different direction, and so you know how Sega's working on that CD thing? Well, here's why not working with CDs is going to be great, because we got less load times. Such a complete 180.
Right.
Interesting.
Anyways,
so, onward and upward. All right.
Yep.
They have an advertisement next for Donkey Kong Country. They're saying exposed with like a big stamp font.
You have jungle fever
with Donkey Kong hiding behind some leaves. So apparently we get to see him naked. And it says, warning, in October, all Superpower Club members will be exposed to jungle fever.
That's so like quasi-racist. I love it.
To be fair, you want to get exposed to small amounts of jungle fever so that you'll build up a tolerance.
Yeah. You like bring your kids over so that they get a small dose of it. You know.
Yeah, I mean, sure. There's a lot of people who say that like you don't want to get exposed to like small amounts of jungle fever because you might get autism, but like the science is shaky.
Yes.
If you're not careful, you get home and your kids are watching Dolomite. Like, so.
Man, you are just taking it to this knife edge racism with this stuff.
Dolomite's not that bad. It's when you get to
it's not
Pt1
really fun.
straw is when you really start the tipping point.
Wait, I love that your I love that your thought was that my concern was that the movie they're watching, the blaxploitation film, is not a very good one, and not that the term jungle fever leads to them
I'm saying
watching
Dolomite
blaxploitation
is actually not that
films.
racist. I'm saying there's much more racist ones, and I named a specific one.
Sure.
Well, like-
but I love that was the concern. Like, they're watching a really racist movie.
Like what? Like Blackula? I mean,
Oh, I love that movie.
Hey, I will not be on a podcast that besmirches good Blackula's name.
Oh my
No,
God.
Petey Wheatstraw, the devil's son-in-law. That's not one of the clip I sent you, John.
I'm just
Anyways,
glad you didn't
H4.
mention BET.
No.
and it says keep checking your
Guys,
mailbox.
you know what'll probably pull us out of a racial quagmire is page 5.
Yeah, keep checking your mailbox, like that movie, like the Lake House. Basically, keep checking your mailbox. All right.
Did I tell you I used to work with a guy that was a former executive at BET?
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
He obviously didn't do a very good job because he was my manager at a Blockbuster. I think his name was Andre, and we had this really small Blockbuster, and people would come in pissed off for whatever reason, and they'd be like, "Can I talk to the manager?" And he would literally like stand there and go, "Sure, I'll get him. One second." And he'd just walk around, he'd just turn around in a circle, and he'd go, "Hello, what can I do for you?"
That's a pretty dope movie.
I'm like blowing snot on my nose, just
All right.
laughing.
So let's see. What do we have? We have table of contents, Super Punch Out, Final Fantasy 3, Maximum Carnage, Spider-Man and Venom, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Pac-Man 2, Illusion of Gaia, Brain Lord, all for the Super Nintendo, and 3 games for the GameCube or Game Boy, Mega Man 5,
pros
Mortal
here.
Kombat 2, and Yogi's Gold Rush, as well as a special feature on a game.
Cruising! Yeah. Oh, hold on. I'm supposed to have
He
the
had
thing
it
here.
fucking queued.
I thought I was gonna wait for this section.
All right. Well, it's all right. Cruising USA.
Aren't you glad you waited for that?
Damn it, I love that game.
As well as a preview of Donkey Kong Country, which we will review next month. So,
Huzzah!
all right, and then in our everybody's favorite Dick Nose drawer, we have the Game Boy kid is heading a soccer ball mid game on his Game Boy. I don't know how else to describe it. Anything else to say about that, Mike or Ben?
Nope.
He has an anime sweat bubble.
Yeah, or a tear.
Oh yeah, that's probably what it is. That makes more sense.
Okay.
It's kind of like, this is the best I'll ever be. This is the peak of my life.
Next pages, we have the player's pulse, which is the mailbox, and it's what is those glazed tiles?
Can I throw something out
Yeah.
for the player's box? Because this captured me, and it's weird because then it becomes a running theme throughout the magazine.
Right.
Is like you really forget how much Nintendo had to just deal with Mortal Kombat being successful. Like they clearly just hate it with all their heart.
Yeah.
Like just they are so pissed that they constantly have to bring it up. And every like I'm amazed they keep publishing all these letters. Like, because there's 2 separate ones about, like, man, Mortal Kombat 2 is so great. And then they keep referencing it later in a way that makes the magazine sound like it's a cop.
Well, and they always
Like-
they always try to pump like please Killer Instinct be good so this dies like as you can
Come
tell.
on, Street Fighter.
Right.
Can we have a 5th Street Fighter too?
And it's just so funny because they're just like because you just forget now that, like, Mortal Kombat 2 was just like an atom bomb on video games to the point where, like, even, like, you know, Nintendo Power would be like, yeah, I know, like the game with the spine ripping out, but here's a fun picture of Kirby.
I bet you they made Killer Instinct just like gritting their teeth. Like, "Arr, this is what the market wants. We need to do this. Arr." You know?
Speaking of sucking everything in sight, how's your mom, Mike?
All right, let's hear from Dick Burney from Omaha, Nebraska, who writes in and says, I would like to mention my concerns about what is to happen to Mortal Kombat 2. You guys probably do not want to admit it, but you know that there were a lot of fans of the first Mortal Kombat that were extremely upset with the Super NES version. While in the meantime, Genesis owners got exactly what they wanted. It is already guessed by most Mortal Kombat fans that Nintendo will do everything in its power to guarantee that the Super NES Mortal Kombat 2 will end up like its predecessor, a wimpy shadow of the arcade version. I hope this time Nintendo, along with its magazines, gives the fan of this game a chance to voice their feelings and also give us what we want. And then they respond saying,
Shots fired.
You are not alone in your feelings, Richard.
By the way, are we gonna pause here? Like, Dick Burney? Like, seriously, did his parents like punch him in the face? Like, what? Like, what? Like, that's a terrible name. All right, okay, all right. Sorry.
Luis's last name wasn't Burns.
Or Trickle.
That's a wonderful name. I don't care what you have to say about it. They say, you are not alone in your feelings, Richard. Many Mortal Kombat fans were disappointed with the Super NES version of the game, even though it featured better graphics and play control than other versions.
Oh my god.
God, what a petty fucking comment.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they could be swarmy at times. This is not new.
Yeah. A lot has happened in the video game industry since the controversy, in quotes,
Quotation marks, yeah.
Yeah. Over Mortal Kombat began. The rating system that has become the industry standard is in place, and Nintendo agrees that games such as Mortal Kombat 2 have a place within the rating system.
And again, that's funny because it's bullshit because Howard Lincoln threw fucking Mortal Kombat aggressively under the bus in those hearings that created the SRB.
Right.
Like, it's like documented in court documents, just Howard Lincoln going like, I think this is gross. Now, we should definitely ban everything that is holding Nintendo back from being number one right now.
There was like an adults only rating, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Oh, it's still there. It's just nobody uses it.
Nobody, like stores wouldn't stock it, but like Night Trap like tapped the line of it apparently,
which is insane. Like on every single level.
Who'd have thought a game about like raping girls would be?
But it's okay. First of all, that's not what Night Trap's about.
I know,
I know. It's like the weird Marilyn Manson arguments of stuff where it's like if you go to his concert, they play with your balls, then like kill your parents. Like it's such a like dumb thing. Like if you go back and play Night Trap, it's such a tame, goofy, stupid game.
It's terrible. It's a terrible game.
Like, but besides being terrible, it's also not wildly offensive.
No.
Like everything's super cartoony.
It's so corny.
It's like you're playing a game through security camera footage. Go enjoy. Like
it's basically Five Nights at Freddy's, but like where if combined with like a TV network where everything on TV is the worst show ever.
It's extremely very campy.
I think it was like Sean Baby back in the day had the thing of like imagine a world where like the only things on TV are videos of empty rooms or or a TV show you hate.
I love Sean Baby. Sean Baby was like the single reason I kept my EGM.
Most definitely.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, when we came across the Mark Discordia mail, we desperately tried to get a hold of Sean Baby. We couldn't reach him though.
Apparently he's dead or something.
I guess.
Yeah, but I love how defensive they are in this answer.
Yeah. All right, sorry, continue.
So they continue. Let's see here. As you saw in our review of MK2 last month, Nintendo had no problem retaining all the characteristics that made the fighting game so popular. Just in case you're still not sure, it is the arcade version. And we happen to know for a fact that there are tons of codes for the game.
And that was
So they plugged their own magazine in the magazine.
Oh, yeah.
that was a reply by guest editor Kellyanne Conway. So,
all right, who gets the next one here?
I will. Ryan Keener of Prince George, Virginia says, I think your magazine is just great. I just think you should put in an arcade section in here because everybody likes Mortal Kombat 2 and everyone wants to know all the fatalities and moves. I hope you consider my idea. They could have just replied, did you read last month's episode? Issue.
I also look at it and go like maybe like don't publish that letter.
You know what we did find out that some of the letters were fabricated.
Oh, good.
Planted.
This clearly isn't one of them.
No.
But this next one sure
okay,
is.
Kyle, do you want to handle this one?
The question of the month comes from Cliff Campbell in Gratz, Pennsylvania. And he goes, does Kirby have a digestive system? And their answer, we're not sure.
Jesus.
It's unknown. There have been attempts to decipher Kirby's anatomy, but anytime somebody gets close to him, he just sucks them up and spits them back out. Like,
I think the last guy that got sucked into Kirby just said, "My God, it's full of stars."
It's Jodie Foster, and she's just crying and saying they should have sent a poet.
Is that a Contact reference?
Yes.
It sure was.
Oh my god.
Billions
Wow.
and billions. All right.
Okay, John.
Okay. Top 10.
You guys do the voices better for these, though. Why don't you guys want to do
I only do one voice, and that's what's his name?
Paul Scheer?
Paul Schaefer. Paul Schaefer.
Scheer
the
is
CP
different.
Yeah.
I think I do a better Paul Scheer, but I'm not going to try right now.
Anyway. All right, so we got the David Letterman's top 10 most edible game packs. Most edible game packs. All right, coming in at number 10, Yoshi's Cookie.
Nom nom nom. It's good, Dave.
At number 9, Secret of Mana. I don't get it. Anyway.
I mean, so mana's the food that God gave the Jews when they were wandering the desert in the Bible.
Finally,
There's two ends.
Finally,
So,
somebody else knows
like,
that.
we got one in before they hit kind of a stretch.
All right. And El Ocho, numero 8, Zombies Ate My Fudge Cake.
Which is not the name of the game.
the name of the game there, Dave.
So I don't understand the rules of their top 10 here, because so far you've had 2 real games, and then just like by the time you get to number 3, we're now changing to like now we can have funny. This is the worst episode I've
Well, I thought real mana was with 2 ends, right?
Probably.
So I think they could have just modified the previous one then if they were going to do that. Anyways.
All right.
Yeah.
Number 7.
Number 7, coming in number 7.
Yes, that's what's the most confusing part of putting Secret of Mana on your edible games list.
Panic Restaurant. I don't. Yeah,
What?
All right.
Is that a game?
Panic
Probably.
Disco. I don't know. All right. Number 6, Tasmaniomania.
It's a good one, Dave.
All right. And number 5, we have Metroid 2: Return of the Sandwiches.
You get it, Paul? Because Samus sounds like sandwich. Sounds like sandwich.
And at number 4, this is my name in college, Six Pack Man.
Six Pack Man actually seems like it would be like a cool nickname to have.
Yeah. And at number 3, coming in, we have Faceball 2000.
That doesn't make any fucking sense at all.
Because there's like
Faceball.
Pac-Man, Faceball. Yeah, Faceball 2000 was another game. That's right.
So it's just a bowl. So like the edible thing is that it's a container that could have food in
Yes.
Maybe it's like from that movie Face Off, like the bowl they put the faces in. Like,
Oh.
it. But you can't eat that.
I mean, you might not.
You're missing the point of the game.
All right. Number 2, Madden NFL 94, the Sugar Bowl. Oh, that's a college football game, though. I don't get it.
Anyways.
And then number 1, the number 1 most edible game pack, NBA Jam.
See, but that's actually a play on words people don't remember, but the original run of NBA Jam's game were made on rice crackers.
This was a top 5 list that someone just thought, I can stretch this out. And they
Yeah, and you can. I feel like you can feel it.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, one version of NBA Jam came like on Taco Bell burritos, and so when you went to the bathroom after, it made sense to say, he's on fire.
Boom shakalaka.
Oh,
It's a dunk.
Chipotle boops. All right, and that was from Justin Starkenberg of Raleigh, North Carolina.
Justin,
Okay.
Justin,
I hope you're ashamed of yourself. you better have been 6.
That's like my
Or
game.
high. Okay. We have Adam Bradley from Hawthorne, California, sent in a poem for the Epic of Link.
I feel
Where he
like
says-
some, like loot music behind it.
So are we gonna go?
Okay.
Are we gonna go with beat music, or are we gonna go with like a little hip hop street
Just
knowledge?
bongo taps is fine. Hey, we with some McConaughey. Okay, you ready? In the first adventure, Zelda is nowhere to be found. She scattered the golden Triforce all the world around. In the second game, the princess is under a spell. Link has to find 7 crystals to make the princess well. On the Super NES, Link starts out in Hyrule. He has to beat 2 enemies who use a lot of tools. Now that Link's on Game Boy, he's on the Isle of Kohylant. He has to defeat the Sirens to get their instruments. Now you've read a poem about Sir Link's adventures, from Hyrule to the Dark World and an island full of treasures.
Now, the question is, Adam Bradley lives in Hawthorne, California, which is not that far from me. Should I hunt him down and just beat him to death?
Your rhymes are shit, bro.
You know what's weird? The rhymes don't bother me. I think the thing that bothers me is that he refers to him as Sir Link, because he is in no way a knight.
You don't know that. Maybe he is.
I definitely do. He's a strange boy who wanders in and then just randomly collects items.
Adam's gonna get
He's a filthy street child.
I thought he had. If
He's always waking up in like beggars' homes.
Yeah, he never wakes up. He never wakes up in a castle saying, "Well, it's time to do my job of protecting the king."
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
some damn fairy just like, hey, you're hungover.
Hey, listen, I don't want to listen. The room's spinning.
Yeah, so like Adam's gonna get a call later tonight from Kyle. I have a very specific set of skills. I'm gonna hunt you down.
I heard you like poetry. Roses are red, violets are blue. I'm coming to kill you.
See, but as it turns out, Adam Bradley went on to change his name to Kendrick Lamar.
All right. Mike, what's going on with the next letter?
Okay, we got Mike Costello from Lawrenceville, Georgia.
Yep.
Okay. He says, congratulations to all those responsible for your recent efforts, Super Metroid, an exceptionally well-designed game in all respects. The music and sound effects created great mood and atmosphere, the controls were smooth and responsive, the motivation and depth of play were very involving, and those graphics. As an artist, I was stunned by all the effects and finishing touches. The use of color and sound in the finale combined to create the most powerful ending I've ever witnessed in a video game. Super Metroid is a game that I'll return to and play again and again with the knowledge that there are better endings and that I only recovered 87% of the items. I'll have to. I'm glad no one was present when Samus and I defeated the Mother Brain and got off the planet. I was in a state. I'm sure I would have been carted away.
Oh, the vapors.
Well, he's from Georgia.
You know, if you mix up the letters in Mike Costello, it translates to Metroid game designer.
I thought it would be like Psych Molesto or something.
Okay.
All right, and let's see. Luke Schroeder of Sioux City, Iowa says, I've recently played Super Metroid and I loved it. I played Super Metroid and I loved it. A friend of mine helped me finish it, and the ending was amazing. Regardless if it took us 6 hours, we just got a cheap thumbs up from Samus. Beating it was thrilling. Okay.
Well, when you hit puberty, you're going to find more thrills in beating it.
All right, and you want to close this out, Kyle?
Sure, from Stephen Bruckner from Vernon, PA. Why did the hatchling have to die at the end of Super Metroid? You can save all the other friendly creatures like Dacula and Ekcloons, but you can't save the baby Metroid? You guys have made almost all your other games have happy endings. This time you've goofed. I was crying as soon as the Metroid died. Were you guys trying to play a drama? If you did so, good job. But if I wanted a drama, I'd ask for one at the video store.
Wow.
Stephen Bruckner.
Stephen Bruckner, you're a bitch.
The first snowflake.
Look, clearly, like, this person, touched with one of many numerous brain disorders, was just sitting around biding their time before they discovered Sonic the Hedgehog.
that would be their response. Nice.
Now
All
I
right,
can
and
rescue
then,
all the animals.
Let's see. Gail writes has a little editor's corner here, and she's saying people are writing in complaining that there's not very many NES games being reviewed anymore, and she has to explain that the NES games are not coming out anymore, so they can't review them. So.
It says, lately NES games have not been rated very high. There aren't very many NES games being developed. These are the main reasons the NES games don't get the coverage. Just as gaming technology races ahead, we must follow with our game reviews. Results from a recent Players Poll survey indicates 87.5% of the respondents owned a Super NES compared to just 80.9% owning an NES. So the second 87 on this page.
I love that the message is largely her saying, "Hey, get off our dick. You have to buy a new system.
Yeah.
This will be your life as a video game fan for the rest of time."
This isn't the first letter she's had to write like that either. This is probably the second or third time.
Yeah, this isn't. Yeah, this console is not going to last you your entire life. You will have to buy others.
She dead. She gone.
Yep.
All right. So
Unless you have childhood onset cancer, in which case, hold on to it. This will last you your life.
Took a turn for the worse there. All right, next up's feature game for Super Punch-Out, which of course does not feature Iron Mike Tyson anymore. They dropped him from the licensing.
Because he was, I believe, in prison for his rape. At this
Yes.
point. Just biding his time, working on that Adult Swim pilot script.
He was getting a taste for ear at that point. in jail, so.
He was just like, man, I can't wait to do a couple more weird, gross things, then have America forgive me because I own a tiger.
I do a lot of stuff with pigeons. People think I'm all right.
Hold on. Animals can judge good people because they can detect souls. And when they see animals love me, they'll know that I can be forgiven.
Who's that? What?
Hold on, I got the door. Hold on 1 second. hey, who's there? Hey guys, it's me. I'm Mike Tyson. I heard you talk about Punch-Out.
Yeah. About Super Punch-Out, the Super Nintendo game.
No, they didn't make no Super Punch-Out. I would have known about that one. I would have got a call.
No, you were. This is when you were in jail. Remember?
What?
For your sexual assault?
No, that was just a misunderstanding. That was a misunderstanding.
You just hanging out with some of your friends for a while there.
Yeah, I had some time to think about raising some pigeons, and think about what the prequel for The Hangover might be.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to know what they did before they got the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, especially we would have loved to see what you were up to before those rapscallions took off with your tiger.
Probably like feeding the tiger and stuff. Would be mostly what he's up to.
The question, feeding it. That's right.
The question is, who did you feed the tiger?
Definitely not beating people and feeding it to the tiger. Yep. Just playing my tiger. And anyways.
All right. Thanks always for your time.
Yeah.
What's
missed you.
What's happening, guys? What's new? What I missed?
Oh, we've still been covering Nintendo Power Magazine.
Oh,
Somehow
okay.
we made it to 65th issue of this. I don't know how.
You guys need to do something better with your lives.
Very true.
Go out and write a pilot for Adult Swim or something.
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, I guess we can resort to writing or something.
I'm gonna go back and record for my own podcast. I'll see you guys later.
All right, later, Mike.
Okay, Mike.
Oh, that was weird.
Yeah.
I think I forgot to tell Kyle that Mike Tyson's my next door neighbor.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
You know what my two favorite parts of that were? First, where Mike Tyson referred to rape as a misunderstanding.
Well, that was one of the enemies in Super Punch-Out, right? Misunderstanding.
Yes, you fought allegations.
Misunderstanding and her partner allegations.
Yeah. Oh, well done, sir. And then my second favorite part is anytime a character comes into a sketch and instead of bailing out goes, "So what's up with you guys?"
That's like the perfect anti-yes and. That's the no but.
Like just a long pause where it could have been, well, I gotta go, but instead it was, hey, so what else?
Yeah, make someone else do the heavy lifting now.
I know I'm a fanciful character, but I want to get really real.
I've got
Check
room,
in with
I've got
you
room
guys.
to grow in this sketch.
He's got depth.
So the other weird thing about Super Punch-Out, they took Mario away as the ref.
They did?
Yeah, the Mario isn't the ref in this game, and so the other characters will do low blows and stuff that weren't in the other games.
Oh, so there's no ref at all.
Isn't he?
No ref.
Yeah.
There's no ref in it?
Yeah, it's
Isn't Mario in the audience, though, with a posse?
It's hard to tell. to zoom in really close on the screenshots.
Yeah, John, do some research. Find out if somebody was in the audience.
I swear to God, I watched like a Did You Know Gaming or something, and they point out that like Donkey Kong and Mario and Peach or something like that are like in the crowd.
Oh, I do know that one of like in the original Punch Out, like one of the secrets to beating one of the later guys was there was like one person
Camera flash.
No, and there's also a person in like the front row that would do something. Yeah, you're
yeah, the
exactly
guy that
right,
could beat
like-
Tyson because he knows
Yeah.
that someone in the front crowd would wink before he throws the surprise punch.
Right.
All right.
Good shot. I don't know how you pick up on that, but all right.
Let's talk about the
I saw
boxers.
Yeah. So what do we have here in Super Punch Out?
Got Gabby J from France.
Replacing
50.
Straw Joe or whatever, the Glass Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's 56 years old, apparently.
Yeah.
God.
1
He's a bit
in
past his
99
prime.
is his record.
Oh my God, he should be a friggin' potato with all the beatings he's taken. Like, he should just be a living callus.
And then we also have Mike's porn name, Bear Hugger, from Canada.
Hey, he's only 32.
There's a dark thing about Bear Hugger as we get further along that I was unaware of in my Punch Out knowledge.
Okay.
A dark thing?
We'll get there.
All right.
Yeah, so he appears to be like the Canadian Zangief.
Yeah.
Bear Hugger's best offensive move is a double glove. That's like my dating move too. You know, when she's questionable.
The double.
The overhead slam punch. When you try to punch him in the face and he blocks it, be on alert as his attack will be coming. Duck out of the way when he throws a powerful punch, and he will come out swinging. The first time in the game that ducking will be useful. He will try this combination many times in each match.
Bear Hugger packs a wallop. Then we have
All right.
Piston Hurricane from Cuba, age 25, record 21 and 10.
Let me
Not
tell
much to
you
say
about
about him.
a boxer named Hurricane.
He's like a person that looks like a legitimate athlete in here. There's not really much to say about him. And then we have Bald Bull, which is from the original.
Is Bald Bull like the first Turkish video game character?
I didn't
Well,
really.
there were like
yeah.
there were wrestling characters like with Turkish backgrounds and stuff, right?
Ah, yes, I forgot about
The
wrestling.
Iron Sheik,
Iron Sheik. I think he was
I don't know.
Iranian or something.
probably.
Son Kaboom.
What?
Oh my gosh. And then we...
Can we get to the next one because it's my favorite name in the game?
All right.
right.
So yeah, that's Bald Bull. All right.
Bob Charlie.
Bob Charlie instead of Bob Marley.
Yeah.
All right, from Jamaica.
That's pretty solid.
And,
Exit fisticuffs, movement of the fist.
all right.
Then we have
I'm gonna be honest. That was a better parody than it was given credit for, sir. Like it took me a minute to really process the amount of wordplay there, and I was like, that was real good.
Mike has some zingers
most
now
of
and
what-
then.
Yeah, most of what he says goes over our heads. So
Usually
then,
some
we
really
have a-
obscure reference.
we have a Jackie Chan reference here in the Dragon Chan from Hong Kong.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Then we have the Masked Muscle,
Well, and this
which
is
is
like-
Luchador.
Yeah, we get to... Well, with Dragon Chan, this guy's just outright kicking. Like, this is where this game really deviates from Punch-Out. Like, they will just outright kick the shit out of you. This is,
Yeah.
like...
Yeah.
The absence of a ref is felt.
Let me.
Well, they put in Punch Out now featuring kicking.
With only one guy though. Yeah.
And then we have a Luchador and Masked Muscle, as well as Mr. Sandman, who is the Major Circuit champ.
And that's actually the guy who is the same Mr. Sandman years later who would sweep you off the stage at the Apollo.
His finishing movies, he brings out the hook.
Yes, exactly. You get it.
So Sandman's
And it was a broom.
Sandman's replacing Mike Tyson. Is that right?
Oh no, we still got
No,
more.
yeah, that's
there's
the
more?
Major Circuit. Now there's the World
Now,
Circuit.
Aaron Ryan looks like the word Aryan.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like,
Or like-
in every single way.
There's
Or
no way
Anne-
that guy
or
doesn't have
Anne
a big ol' yeah. There's no way the guy doesn't have a big old white power tattoo on his back.
Yeah, he's got
Yeah.
an Iron Eagle on his
changed.
Yeah.
Well, he changed his first name to his middle name, Paul, and now he's in politics.
back. They can't see my ink if I'm always wearing a suit and smiling.
See, you get it.
Paul Ryan's
He's like a Tom Clancy villain.
Paul
his-
Ryan's like secretly jacked, by the way. Like he apparently
Yep.
works out 3 hours a day or something crazy like
Yeah.
So
Just punching trees.
bad rock.
so we can
bad
get
Rocky
so we can
montage.
get used to beating brown things.
Oh, fuck.
Whenever Aaron Ryan loses a match, he goes back to his car, starts it up, and the first song that plays is "Cut my life into pieces. This is
This
my
guy
last
gets it.
resort."
Now, within this one too, Mad Clown was my dark story, is that it points out here that has Bear Hugger joined the circus and moved to Italy? Like, the implication being that Mad Clown is just Bear Hugger dressed as a clown fighting to try to make 2 paychecks. And I find that kind of tragic.
Look, it's got the same
I also-
pouch in the front, too, like the kangaroo pouch on the overalls.
Can we also appreciate the fact that it is weird that, like, the Canadian guy in overalls is only, like, the second player you fight, but, like, the implication is that then his clown alter ego is a massively popular world fighter.
Well, here's the thing. See,
Think how amusing it would be if you were watching a heavyweight bout and like one of the combatants pulled out like juggling balls mid-match.
I mean, like bringing overalls to a boxing match. What the fuck?
We missed Heike Kagero from Japan, 19-year-old.
He whips his hair back and forth.
Definitely not Sephiroth.
He's the Willow.
Yeah. He's if Vega and Willow Smith had a child.
Oh, then we have Super Macho Man,
Oh yeah.
which, does not look like Macho Man. It looks like a
Ric Flair.
super toned.
It's what happens when Macho Man falls into all the ooze like the end of Ninja Turtles 2. Like Shredder becomes Kevin Nash, and then Macho Man becomes Super Macho.
It looks like Randy West.
He looks kind of like current day Ric Flair.
A little bit, yeah. Woo!
And then- all right. We also have on the special circuit, which I don't know what that means. Maybe it's like the disabled fighters.
Yeah, that's for sure. Once you beat the world champion, it's time to just like turn into a monster.
Who else can you beat up?
They bring out like the usher, like the guy at the the hot dog stand.
He's just got bloodlust at that point. These are just audience members that you brutally beat today.
We have
So-
Narcissus Prince.
Yeah.
Narcissist.
Just some, yeah.
And then we
have
have an old man.
Hoy
70
Quarlo.
Boy Quarlo.
78
And then the
years
Bruiser
old,
brothers.
Yeah, Nick and Rick, who apparently Nick beat Rick once in a fight because he's 41-1 and Nick is 42-0. So
And you thought Bear Hugger was just like replacing the same guy with a different skin. They just said, "Fuck that. We're not even going to replace the skin."
It's pretty clever.
all right.
Clever and or lazy. All right.
Anything? Oh, they're apparently. Oh, yeah. And the big dynamic with this game is building up your super meter, which is a little bit different. You had to build up the stars in the old Punch Outs. In this one, it's a super meter, like for each dodge and successful jab and stuff. You build up a super punch.
Do you still play as Little Mac?
I don't think you really see who you are.
Yes, you do. You
It's-
see your face next to the boxer in the the little
that's
power
right.
bar, and you're not
It's
Little
not.
Mac.
It's
Yeah,
not,
so you are a Little
Well,
Mac.
Okay.
It can't be Little Mac because Little Mac had black hair, and this guy's got brown hair.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like the same guy. But what's interesting graphics-wise is the perspective is you kind of see through Little
Yeah,
Mac a little bit.
Ghost version of yourself.
That's really kind of impressive graphics-wise.
Well, that's kind of a riff on the arcade game, because the arcade game you were a wireframe.
Yeah.
And the sprite work of the enemies is really the star here more than anything.
Yeah, it's a pretty game.
Yes. Like it has aged well. It still looks good. Like if this was on your phone or something like that, you'd look and be like, "Hey, well, someone did some good artwork here." Like
Yeah.
this game, like while it didn't really get a lot of traction in the market, unfortunately, because it's pretty interesting, but it holds up well with time on the aesthetic scale.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of holding it well in time on the aesthetic scale, what do we have next?
Donkey Kong Country, the preview.
Yeah, so we're not going to go too deep because obviously we're going to review the game later on. But what do we have in here in this preview here?
They're telling us about the basic storyline, which is the Kong Horde has stolen all of not the Kong Horde, the whatchamacallit, King K. Rool and the Kremlings have stolen Kong's banana horde, his giant pile of bananas, and so Donkey Kong needs to go get them back apparently, and that's essentially it. And then they introduce you to Donkey Kong's friends, So these are the
I think
different
this is
creatures.
the first time they've actually like spelled out what the companion characters will be, right?
Yeah,
Agreed.
The things you can ride. So you can ride a rhinoceros called Ramby. We have Engard, which is a swordfish. Those are for underwater levels. You have Winky the frog.
And then we've got John, the one-trick pony.
Sing!
Oh.
And then you have Espresso, which is an ostrich that can sort of glide. And then it talks about the Donkey Kong family, the Kong clan. So you got
This is. I didn't realize that Nintendo had acknowledged Cranky Kong as being the Donkey Kong from the original.
Yeah.
game.
Oh yeah,
It is.
Yep.
I did not realize that was canon.
yeah.
That is
That's at the
impressive.
beginning of the game when
Yeah.
they show like the old school graphics, and then
And he's in the chair jamming to the old Atari.
the Atari. Listen to you.
And then Donkey comes in with his friggin' hippity hop like doo-doo-doo.
Yep.
Like, this ain't your daddy's Donkey Kong.
Yep. So they got Diddy Kong, which you can play as either one of them. You can switch between them as part of the game. And then you have Candy Kong, Donkey Kong's sweetheart, in a onesie swimsuit. And then you have Funky Kong, which is a guy wearing a headband, sunglasses, and a gold chain, riding a surfboard with flip-flops on.
Funky Kong is real cool,
Funky Kong Medina.
and I know he's cool because he can surf in flip flops.
That's impressive. There's some really good grip on those things. So they start going in about some of the levels here, so we're not really going to cover that too much. So when they talk about Donkey Kong Exposed, which you keep seeing on the side, they're talking about the VHS tape that they sent out at the same time. So not in this issue, but definitely in a future one, we're going to have a special episode where we have to watch the 20-minute video and
I think
riff
we
on
might
it.
do that as like a side episode.
Yes, bonus content maybe for Patreon only people, and we'll see.
What really,
All three of them.
what's really
All
great
three. Gotta have something to offer them.
What's really great is that this is a like one of the biggest games that Nintendo made that was sort of based on a real story.
Really?
Yeah, the Banana Wars.
Huh.
It was when America had an occupation, police action, and intervention in Central America and the Caribbean between the end of the Spanish-American War and the inception of the Good Neighbor policy in 1934. So for 36 years, they occupied Nicaragua, Haiti, the Dominican Republic.
Huh.
So, Kyle, have you gone back and played this like in retrospective kind of
Donkey Kong Country?
Yeah.
My girlfriend is quite the fan of them, and maybe a year or two ago, Meltdown, the theater where Nerd Melt is, they used to have a vintage video games area, and they had a couple of TVs that just had old consoles hooked up all the time. And
Right.
you'd watch, like, as something was in there, like, people just kind of get fixated on it for a few days or so, and one of those
Right.
for a while was Donkey Kong Country. And you're like, oh man, this is a very like loose but kind of fun game. And then you get to those minecart levels, and you're like, fuck everything forever. Nothing is real, and everything's a lie. And I hate everyone
My illusions of intelligence have been
because
shattered.
you're having such a lovely time, and then they just go ahead and ruin it.
I like the minecart level.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, I get that, like, you're a bad person and stuff. Like, yeah. But it's interesting because, like, they have a very specific look. Like, they have a charm to them. Like, they definitely are not a tight game. You know, you definitely feel a little slippy and slidey and stuff like
Dude.
that.
Yeah.
But, you know, they were never my platformer of choice, but they're definitely always something that
Yeah.
I've like appreciated just because I like the aesthetic.
It's not a precise game by any means,
But it has
there's a lot of like
A ton
Yeah,
of personality.
there's a lot of hidden elements to the game. So when you play someone that really knows like what they're doing with the game, it can be pretty fun. So
Yeah.
I don't know. One of my exes, like, she grew up with like only these games pretty much. It was like all she had. So like she knew how to like play every level, like all the hidden shit. It was just crazy watching someone that like this was like their only experience with video games. It was,
Oh,
I
interesting.
don't know. Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah. Ben, anything to add?
I mean, we'll dig into it much more next issue, so I'll reserve my comments about it for then.
I think that sounds like a good plan.
All right. Next up, though, We've got, that's right, Cruising USA.
This is a preview, not a review, but like they're getting into what's coming from Midway.
First and foremost, they have that photo of the mock of the arcade machine. I do not remember that arcade machine for that game.
No.
Where are you looking? Oh, I see.
That's
with
such
the
a
car?
like CES demo version of an arcade machine, and then it's just like a bunch of piece of plywood that looks like the pole position machine, because racing video games have really never changed except for like Aqua Thunder's use of teal. Or Hydro Thunder, I apologize. I know I'd get tweets about that.
Yeah, so what for those who aren't like looking at what we're looking at, we have
what's wrong with you? I mean, like we're reading this whole thing, but you know, you could crack up on the issue and look.
But they've taken like a sports car, looks like a kind of a dummy version of a Corvette, and cut it in half for the arcade cabinet, and like it's like there's a raised TV.
It looks like they put a TV in a Power Wheels.
Yes.
Like, if we're being real, that's what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Or like when
when
the Penguin sets up like controls the Batmobile in Batman Returns. Like that, but with a sports car instead of the Batmobile.
Yeah. They actually looked at some photos of the arcade machine, and this actually was one of the models that they sold. It just didn't sell very many of them. Because the
they
typical
sold the more conventional one a lot more. That's one you see in like all the pizza your local pizza parlor.
Yeah, they had like the sit down, more traditional one, which is sort of the cardboard box on the outside with the seat. They had the double one with 2 seats, and then of course they had the stand up one, which is a steering wheel stuck on it, basically, which is lame.
Yeah, it's always a bummer when you see that for a driving game in the arcade. You're like, oh, you didn't even try.
Yeah, like you guys couldn't show up for the one you have to actually sit down in and press the gas pedal for. You gotta stand up for this shit. So
I love that they try to like promote the speeds of the car in the game, capable of 147 miles an hour and 0 to 60 in 2.51 seconds. Like, nobody remembers like the performance of the cars in that game. They just remember like racing through the different parts of America.
Nobody's
did
looking
car
at
go
this.
fast?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, nobody's looking at the
can you
speedometer.
hit cows?
Yeah.
That's what I remember from the game.
It's like Kris Jenner the game.
Oh. One of the interesting things with this article is they actually do talk about the arcade machine. So those people that complain about, hey, you should have a arcade section, they actually do mention it quite a bit. And then now they're mentioning, hey, remember we talked about our connection between Williams and Nintendo Ultra 64? Well, here's where this is going, kind of thing. So it's a preview of an N64 game. Oh, look, we have a logo for the Ultra 64 in the top right corner. I just realized.
Yeah.
Oh, so that'll get killed eventually.
And then we have a bunch of shots from the game, including the bikini-clad, checkered flag girl, which I don't think made it to the 64 version of the game.
Oh, it did.
That's sure shit in the arcade version.
It's in the arcade, I know that. I don't know.
Oh, it is for sure in the 64 version.
Okay.
Believe me, I've been playing it.
Note to 13-year-old me. All right.
I think it is.
They have like a little notepad here that sort of... What does this say? Like?
Race across the U.S. or practice on your favorite section of the course. Any car can be driven with an automatic or standard 4-speed transmission.
Okay, it's just some like features of the game. Okay.
No, well, at the end it tells you like finish the race in first place and the next race is free. You know, considering you
like
bought
any
the
arcade game.
Yeah, well, it says you better drive faster than the train or you're toast.
All right, Mike. What's next?
One of my favorite. Kyle knows what I'm talking about. Final Fantasy III, when magic and technology collide. This game...
My notes for this game are literally Mike Town.
This game is fucking beautiful. Great music, great graphics, great everything. It is just a riveting story, fantastic characters that are actually fleshed out, all of them.
And as we go through this, we're going to get some great profiles on them.
Yep. So let's get to know these people.
I was amazed how thorough this is. I didn't mean to cut you off, by the way. I saw a good segue there. But like, I'm amazed how thorough this coverage is.
I'm used to John cutting me off, so I appreciate someone new doing it. Bringing someone new into the relationship is nice.
So 3 was your jam?
Oh, yeah. I like number
Mike
2.
Briss. I'm always cutting him off.
Does this count as... Is this the situation where this is secretly 6?
Yes.
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 Okay, so then when 4 comes out, like, later on the NES, what is that?
It's Final Fantasy 2.
It doesn't.
Final Fantasy 4 was released on the NES as Final Fantasy 2. This is 6.
So that's... Okay.
Yeah, 5 wasn't.
And then for 7, they just basically like
They changed back, right?
Yeah, and just go to they use the Japanese numbers in.
But there's a
through the hints of
4
the year.
on Super Nintendo 2, isn't there?
Yes, it came out as Final Fantasy 2.
That's 2.
Yeah, there was a Final Fantasy 5 which never came out on the Super Nintendo, but it did come out on the Game Boy and Advance.
Yeah, it's like the Virtual Console as well, too, right, or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know
Gotcha.
why they didn't do it because it was a good game too.
The Final Fantasy timeline of like releases is, and it's weird because like this is one of the ones like the 2 NES ones that I think of I like a lot. Like I I've only spent a little bit of time with either one of them, but I enjoy both quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But because of the weird numbering and the fact that I've been friends with different people who number them different ways, I just know them as which one's the one where they're running around in robot suits.
Yeah, this is the one. This is good.
And then this is the one. This was the jam.
Is this the Chocobo racing? Which one's this? That's all of them.
When does Sora meet Roxas?
I think this was the game that I actually tried at some point when I was young, and like it was a friend's version, and they were like well into the final boss part of the game, and like I didn't understand anything that was going on, and it completely soured me to RPGs for like the rest of my life.
Yeah, that's no fun.
So, yeah,
You got to play this game from the start. It's riveting because it uses the Mode 7 graphics for a cinematic intro scene where the 3 Magitech suits advance on this small, unguarded town ready to attack. And it's just like the way the credits roll up, and the music is just riveting and isolating. It's just excellently done.
It is a good game.
Yep.
I know that. So what do we have here? We have profiles of the different members of your party is what it opens up with,
Well,
right?
first it's building the world, saying that in an age-long past, in a time we can only imagine, mysterious people were said to hold the power of magic in their souls. All kinds of magic were known to them, both spells of healing and spells of destruction. So amazing was their power that they dominated the known world. No one contested their right to rule. The years passed peacefully. People worked the land, raised their families, and lived their lives contentedly. But as the years ambled by, those in power began to bicker. First they quarreled over minor issues, but as their hunger for power grew, so did their fights. As the magic wielders quietly chose sides in the growing dispute, they began to work on weapons of destruction. Those weapons evolved by way of magic into a frightening group of beasts known as Espers. The coming of the Espers was the beginning of the end. So basically, they modified these creatures to harness their power, and in doing so, they created a global calamity where magic didn't exist for 1,000 years.
So the Espers are like modern day Kardashians.
Yeah, everybody was all about them. And they ruined civilization.
No, the beginning of the end was their arrival.
Yeah, so 1,000 years later, magic doesn't exist, and then you begin the game as Terra, the first person in 1,000 years to wield magic. But she doesn't know anything about her past because she wears a slave crown that gives her amnesia. So it says she knows Terra, the wielder of magic. And she's a blonde in the artwork, but green-haired in the game. I don't know why. It says she knows little about her past. She doesn't know who she is.
Maybe she like stayed too long in the pool.
She doesn't know who she is or where she comes from, and she doesn't know why people think she's special. She does know that the Empire used mind control to turn her into a ruthless machine responsible for murdering countless people. Now she uses her magic against the Empire.
The Empire did nothing wrong.
And then we get Locke, but don't call him a thief. He fancies himself a treasure hunter, even though he often hunts for treasure in other people's purses. Although he has the heart of an adventurer, his carefree demeanor hides a tragic past. He feels responsible for the death of his girlfriend who perished at the hands of Imperial soldiers. That's not true, I think. His sole purpose in life is to find the magic that the Phoenix used to rise from its ashes. He hopes that the same magic will one day bring his girlfriend back to life. He's a clever and powerful ally. And we get to see him at his best where he literally steals the clothes off of a merchant and leaving him only in his boxers.
Just the game where Kefka destroys the world like halfway through.
That's why
Okay, I think I played part of this game.
Yeah, that's why this game was awesome, because the villain wins halfway through. It's like, yeah, you rally your forces, you charge, you assault the fortress, and you're too fucking late. He's too powerful, and the world breaks. You lost.
Let's not read. We don't have to read everything here, please, Mike. But explain Mog the Moogle quickly.
Mog the Moogle, he uses dance attacks that he learns based off his environments. And
he looks kind of like a little Pikachu kind of goblin, I don't know, like yellow thing.
We first saw Moogles in Secret of Mana.
Okay, so they carried them over.
Yep.
All right, and then what else do we have?
Next is Edgar, one of my favorite characters, the engineer and the king of Figaro Castle. He uses tools, and they and they range from auto crossbows to drills to bioblasters, which gas all the enemies, a flash, which stuns multiple enemies, a chainsaw, which can damage a single enemy seriously, or a noise blaster, which confuses all enemies, and the air anchor, which makes enemies self-destructive.
So engineer is not really crafting; it's more like he just controls a bunch of different weapon types.
Yeah, well, he uses a sword, but his tool options that he picks up pretty much penetrates all enemies' defenses and just wrecks their shit.
All right, and then what else do we have?
Well, his brother Sabin is the exact opposite. His tools are his fists.
Okay.
And he uses
he's like the Chris Brown.
Yeah, well... oh my god. He uses...
Man, the year 2012 called and wants these Kardashian and Chris Brown jokes back.
This is the problem. We have a real comedian on the show. Just like rips our poor jokes to shreds.
I just feel like there's updates to be made.
Ray Rice, do you prefer?
You guys are like that Mac, like the Mac that refuses to do the update.
Yes.
It's like, look, man, in 2012, I learned what a Kardashian and Chris Brown are, and I've been milking it ever since.
Humor has peaked.
I'm not going to learn what Drake and more Kardashians are.
No, we've made... Drake's been talked about...
Ben has a hatred for Drake.
I can't stand that song. Mumbles. He's a mumbler.
I like the thing you don't like about Drake is his poor enunciation and not his awful music and personality.
I stopped learning about Drake at the music.
Politically, I'm totally into it, but...
What the hell is a hotline bling anyway?
I don't want to know.
Anyway, so Sabin does the Ballroom Blitz, where you just input a series of commands like Mortal Kombat or... well, basically any Street Fighter game, and it unleashes a series of different attacks like a magic burst, a suplex, which is really great because there's this one scene where you can suplex a fucking train. And that is just epic. That is just one of the...
I mean, we've all been there.
Yeah. And then there's Cyan, one of my favorite characters, who is a valiant knight. He uses different sword techniques, which are based off samurai skills, like Bushido.
How is he not blue, by the way? If his name's Cyan.
His armor is blue. In the sketch work, it is not, because someone doesn't get color names. But he has a classical way of speaking. Like, he uses thou and thee and verily. And he has, like, immediately he has a great story. He defends his castle from attack, defending his realm. And then in the very next scene, Kefka, the prick that he is, poisons the water supply. And he has to watch everyone around him in one scene just drop dead. And as he goes to get his wife and child out, he realizes it's too late. So he is the sole survivor of his realm.
That's brutal.
And then what else do we have? Like Dark Link or Shadow? I don't know what we're gonna...
He's a ninja that shows up as a mercenary for hire. You can buy his services early on in the game, but it's only temporary, and then he fucks off. But then at one point, he becomes an optional character that, he joins you for the assault on Kefka's island, and then... he takes off beforehand, but he shows up at the last minute to buy you time for escape, and you can choose to wait for him to get on the ship, or you can just leave him to become a comet as the island destroys itself.
Japanese games make so much sense. All right.
Love it.
All right.
I gotta go real quick here. I'm in this for the long haul, but I did not get the chance because I ran right in to get on the Skype to grab food. So I'm gonna just run into the other room for a minute as we continue through the other 98 characters in Final Fantasy III.
We'll
I'll reconvene and I'll meet you guys at Wait. Let's see what their preview.
Well, we're gonna have
when we get to the Earthworm Jim poster.
We're gonna take a break and cut the episode in half after the Earthworm Jim poster, anyways. So we're at a natural breaking point soon enough. But yes.
Oh, great.
Feel free to go eat now, though.
Cool. I will be back.
All right. Enjoy.
Okay, and then we got Celeste, a former general. She uses her sword to absorb magic attacks coming in from the enemy. Basically, she's a lightning rod from magic.
What's the former she just couldn't cut it as a general, or
well, she's had it. Well, she learns that Kefka.
Or was this like a Mulan thing where they realized she was a girl and kicked her out of the army?
No, she was a magical knight, but she learned that the Empire was killing civilians. Like she learned about Kefka's poisoning of the Doma, which was Cyan's land. And when she abandoned the Empire, they captured her and tortured her as a traitor.
Oh, okay. So she's disbanded from her troops.
Yeah, she had
a change of heart.
She left.
A traitor.
Yep, she couldn't believe in the Empire anymore, so they captured her and tortured her. And then there's
what else do we have?
Gao, the wild boy. He's a berserker which learns different attacks by leaping on monsters. Then they vanish, the fight's over. And then you find him later on after you defeat that same monster again, and he will have learned their attacks. Now you can't control them, but when you turn him on, he goes on autopilot and he uses all the attacks of the monsters that he's learned.
And then we have Gambit,
who
is
a gambler, and he uses the slot attack, where basically...
His name's actually Setzer, by the way, let's be clear.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, Setzer, not Seltzer. So he uses playing cards.
I had
as
a New
his
York
weapon.
Seltzer the other day. It's good.
Worth the
God, I hate these games.
worth the interruption. So Setzer.
I hate these games so much.
I've literally said 2 words in the last 20 minutes.
Oh God, I hate these games.
So he uses slots which can either do immense power.
Is it clear to you, Mike, at this point, how thick this is? How as someone that doesn't play these games, trying to understand all this?
You don't have to play every single character.
You've introduced us to 20 fucking characters.
It's 7.
No wonder people can't pick this game up.
I got bored halfway through the game and I put it down. Took too long.
Give me Link, give me a sword, give me a shield,
This is the
point me at the enemy.
It's the 8th
too
character. So he uses slot machines. And then there's Strago the Magician, who, when he witnesses an enemy use an attack, he's able to use that magic at any time. Now, unlike Gao, you can choose what he uses.
Oh my God.
And then there's Realm the Artist, which is his granddaughter. And she can sketch an enemy and use its own attacks against it.
Yeah, that just makes so much sense. I don't know why anybody...
And then there's hidden characters like Gogo and Umaro, which you won't get them until the world ends anyway.
Great.
And then we get to meet Kefka. Motivated by a consuming greed, he grows impatient with Gestalt. He thinks the old king moves too slowly, worries too much about the people. He decides to act on his own in his own heartless way. And then we get to meet the other people of the Empire. Gestalt, the aging monarch, believes that the empires are too powerful to unleash. Well, I don't know, they make it sound like he's a good guy, but he's not. Then there's General Leo, a goofy-looking guy with a bush cut. It's kind of like a Japanese version of Guile. And it says, after witnessing Kefka's ruthless acts, he lays down his weapons and tries to negotiate peace. That does not...
all right.
Yeah, it doesn't end well. And then there's Sid, a
Who
scientist...
always wears a raincoat.
Yeah, that's why he doesn't have any kids. So Sid, a scientific genius, creates the machines that converts espers into magicide. Basically,
Yeah.
magic
All those
juice.
words make so much sense. All right.
He turns living things into dead batteries.
Okay.
So I know some of these character names are repeated across multiple Final Fantasy games, iterations. Like Sid is in I don't know how many games, right?
About all of them, except for
is he?
There's always a Sid. There's always a Lighthouse.
Yeah, I was gonna say, which characters are repeated over and over in different incarnations?
Moogles, Sid, and that's about it. There's different styles and characters. Like in Final Fantasy V, there's a brawler, and then there's...
Are there chocobos in every Final Fantasy?
Yes, there
Is that a
are.
running theme?
And then in all the recent ones, there's some angsty emo Japanese teenage kid.
Yeah, that was before I went off the rails.
Yeah, it really is like a teenage soap opera these days.
Yeah, this was back when it had likable characters instead of shitty Dawson's Creek wannabes.
Yeah, it basically turned into a Persona ripoff is what it became.
So when did you check out of the Final Fantasy series then, Mike?
I never did.
Well, you
You're
just
still playing the current ones.
Well, I don't have Final Fantasy 15 because I don't have a PlayStation 4, but I did play the Kingdom Hearts games, the Final Fantasies up to 13. Like I just never played the multiplayer ones because why would I want to talk with other people? Then I played the Final Fantasy Tactics games that came out on.
It's pretty tough when you don't let the other person have a word in edgewise. So, and they talk over you just to get a word in.
What do they have here? They have like a layout to how to start the game.
Yep, it's just basically how to get started, where you ride a raft down the river after meeting several characters, and then the game breaks up into 3 chapters that you can choose. Like you have to do all 3 of them, but you can choose the order. And this is where you meet other characters to fill out your parties for the guys that have like only one character in their party. Okay. And this is where you all come together with a group of like 8 or 9 at the end.
This is the back of the poster, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
The way it's like done in the
yeah, it folds out to a map.
Yeah. So we got some maps of the world of balance and the world of ruin.
So
they
before and
actually
after.
maps for like pre and post apocalypse here, so that's helpful.
Yep. All right.
So the only map with like actual, like they have like 1 through 28 different locations. On the world of ruin, they don't spell out where if those locations remain or not. So good luck with that.
And we cover this game more next issue as well, right?
Yeah, there's more coverage next issue. The artwork in here is really like it's all really pretty good hand drawn, like art. Like the coverage here is interesting. Like it definitely has like sort of a whimsical feel to it a bit. I don't know. They did a really good job with the coverage in this. So a lot of maps, a lot of pictures, a lot of explanation. If you did have an inclination to kind of dip your toe in the Final Fantasy waters, this would be a good place to start, I guess.
It's a great game, although like they did have like a couple of problems with the mechanics. Like there's a stat like magic defense, which just like even though you see the number, something wrong in the coding makes it all not work. So like it doesn't like anything you're wearing for magic defense won't actually defend against magic or evade magic attacks.
So if there's like a perfect version of this game between like remakes and ports, which would you recommend? For people wanting to get this game.
There's a patch for this game which is on ROM hacks, which fixes several of the mechanics. And
well, what Ben was asking is, do you want to play like the DS version or whatever?
Is there a legitimate version you can purchase that has all the fixes in it?
I'm not sure if the Game Boy Advance version does have the fix in it, but I know that the ones for the iPad are completely redone. So that would have it fixed.
This the Final Fantasy they're sticking on the Super NES Classic Mini?
I'll look into that.
If they did 2 and 3, then yes.
All right, and then the poster is on the flip side is Earthworm Jim, and we see the giant.
By the way, have you seen the Super NES Classic they're going to be selling in Europe? It looks like the old Famicom. It looks so awesome. Like, I wish I could get that. Apparently, it's not region specific. So if you bought it like through like
Alibaba or something,
or even you can just buy the UK Amazon if you could. Let's see, Final Fantasy 3 is on the Super NES Classic, so this game is included on that. So at least you have that going for you.
Yep.
Final Fantasy 3? Okay. I thought that was the one on there. So yeah, there's a way to play it, and you can find out if they patched it or not when it comes out.
That'd be funny if they didn't patch it for that. That'd be crazy.
I had to imagine they did, because they patched that whole Star Tropics issue where you have to read the manual to figure out the next thing.
Yeah, they just include like a way to see the code for that.
So anyways, Earthworm Jim, we got the poster, and it's a nice, creepy illustration of the evil queen with her staff coming after Earthworm Jim, and he's running away screaming.
Yeah.
That's about all I can say about it. All right.
It's kind of got a colored pencil hand drawn look to it, is what I would say.
So let's go ahead and...
on the coming soon thing is weird. I don't know. It looks like they wrote a ransom note with different
90s. Let's use every font and color in the palette.
Yeah, I don't know.
Why? Because we have it. Yeah.
All right, Ben, take us home.
All right, so thank you very much, Kyle Clark, for joining us for the podcast. I know you're over eating a burrito or something right now.
He's enjoying it, of course.
He's enjoying the burrito.
What's that?
If he is, he's enjoying it.
I hope so.
That's the Nerdist thing.
Thank you for joining us for our lowly podcast. We appreciate it. And if anyone wants to reach out to us in between episodes, of course, you can find us on Facebook.com/PlayingWithPowerPodcast. You can also find old issues on our website, PlayingWithPowerPodcast.com. If you'd like to donate and keep the show running, you can donate to us on Patreon.com/PlayingWithPower. If you'd like to reach out to Mike, you can find him on Twitter at GetThePower88. And if you'd like to help us in other ways, please go on to iTunes and leave us a review and a rating. Good or bad, all the coverage helps out. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Mike, did you have anything else you wanted to plug?
Sure. If you enjoy hearing Mike without jokes made about his mother, you can also check out the Graveyard Shift Horror with Sheldon and Mike podcast, where Sheldon Brown and I watch horror movies and do a little skit and then a review, and then we talk about it, and then we talk about other stuff, and then the podcast is over because that's how they work. They're finite.
You know what? I'm really kind of bent about the fact that your podcast got like a titty picture.
Jesus.
We got a fan who sent in.
We've been around for freaking like a year and a half. Not one photo. Nothing. Not even like a penis shot from a fan. And like you, within the first week, just like, hey guys, like a show. Boobs.
Yeah,
Not bad boobs either.
No, it's good.
Pretty solid.
Yeah. So anyways, if any of you gentlemen out there would like to take off your shirts and show us your flab, playingwithpowerpodcast@gmail.com. Fuck it. I'll take it at this point.
All right.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Stay tuned for the second half. I'm Ben.
I'm Mike.
And I'm John.
And now you're playing with power.
Entertainment system. Now you're playing with